greatest fights of all time, in every fight that's ever happened. But you look at those two separately, and you know, it wasn't their night tonight, and it wasn't an exciting
win against Anthony. But here I am with a broken jaw, learning the hard way. I'll heal.
What just happened? What you just saw was, yes, Jake Paul finding out there's levels to this game. Yes, Anthony Joshua not having the greatest performance of all time, but him doing exactly what he had to do, what he needed to do for boxing, what he needed to do for himself.
The internet erupted the moment Jake Paul hit the canvas in his long-rumored clash with Anthony Joshua, and all eyes instantly turned to Dana White. The UFC president, who had spent years publicly dismissing Paul as a manufactured boxer, didn't need to throw a punch himself. His reaction said it all, from a knowing smirk to blunt, no-nonsense comments. White appeared vindicated as the reality of elite heavyweight power met YouTube hype, turning Paul's bravado into a brutal lesson witnessed by millions.
And that calf kick, you know, the whole first round, he couldn't have had a better first round, and then he got caught.
Do you feel it's one of those things where, like, he got caught, or is it one of those things where Handman age might be catching up to him, he might be slowing down? Which one do you think it could be?
Since Anthony Joshua brutally stopped Jake Paul in the 6th round of their heavyweight showdown, sending Paul to the hospital with a broken jaw and multiple fractures, the combat sports world has been buzzing non-stop. Paul's injuries were severe enough that he required surgery, including the insertion of titanium plates and removal of damaged teeth following the fight.
For my own credibility, I've got to knock you out, but I've got to try and knock you out where I'm not hurting you as much as what I could if I unleashed. Yeah. And with the punch you said that he landed, it's not his best punch, his most powerful punch, right? Yep. And he's shattered his jaw in 2 places, right? So Anthony Joshua gets his 70 million, whatever it is, but I think he's sitting there thinking, thank God for that, thank God. On a human level, I've come out, all right, I've sort of, not reputation, but I haven't hurt him as bad as what I could have.
There should be an awful amount of people breathing a massive sigh of relief. Anybody that put that fight together, athletic commissions, like you said.
It wasn't a fight.
No, it wasn't at all. Like you said, it was a prize fight. It was an event. If Anthony damages him, he's got to live with that for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of stress to deal with, you know what I mean? So I'm sure he's bleeding in the side of relief. The team that have put him in there, that have negotiated that for him, but the authorities that put that on and commissioned it as a proper boxing match, I've no doubt.
Does that go on his...
Yeah, it's a professional boxing
match. Do you know what? If I was Anthony Joshua, I would be saying, I don't want that on my record. But for the credibility of them putting the fight on, they would have said to him, no, we've got to say this. It's been commissioned. It's going to be a proper fight. And I found it, I love my boxing, but I just find the whole thing really, really unedifying. You said about get followers. You mentioned Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury is nowhere near his level of getting like a British title fight or whatever. Nowhere near. So it's basically he's like...
Beat Jake Paul.
Right, oh yeah, sorry, yeah, beat Jake Paul. But so
but what I'm saying is that's 100. I stand by that, and I think Tommy would admit that. You know what I mean? To become a British champion is a very prestigious thing to do, and I think he would struggle to do that.
But I think when I was reading, he got 5.6 or...
Scans and X-rays revealed that Jake Paul had suffered a broken jaw in 2 separate places, a severe injury commonly referred to as a double fracture. After the fight, Paul drove himself to the hospital for treatment, where doctors confirmed the diagnosis. Recovery was expected to take around 4 to 6 weeks, and Paul shared images of the scans on social media, confirmed the fractures, and thanked fans for their support during his recuperation. UFC President Dana White had previously dismissed the matchup as a bad idea, suggesting from the start that Paul was out of his depth against a decorated former heavyweight champion, and many viewed Joshua's knockout as validating that perspective. White even joked that the fight's appeal came from fans wanting to see Paul eventually stopped, underscoring his long-held skepticism about Paul's viability at the highest levels of boxing.
Oh, Jesus. That's a fucking bad idea. That's a bad idea. But let me tell you what. A lot of people watch that one.
Will you watch it?
Sure. You know what everybody's tuning in for on that one. I think
Analysts are now describing the entire build-up and aftermath as a Tom and Jerry show, arguing that the outcome felt inevitable from the moment the fight was announced. According to multiple boxing insiders, Jake Paul spent months playing the loud, cartoonish provocateur, while Anthony Joshua remained silent, calculated, and patient, like a predator waiting for the moment to strike. Once the bell rang, the comedy quickly ended, as Joshua's power, timing, and ring IQ overwhelmed Paul, producing a knockout that shocked casual viewers but came as no surprise to serious analysts.
Oh man, great performance by Jake, brother.
Come on, bro. He's a fucking legend for that. He has such big balls getting in the ring with that guy, dude. Josh was a monster. He stayed in it the whole time, and I'm really proud of Jake, dude. All my respect to him, bro. Whatever outcome. I mean, dude, he went 6.5 rounds with Anthony Joshua, one of the best in the world. So I got nothing but respect.
And got up like 2 times.
No, it was sick.
Talk about that. I mean, there's been other heavyweights that have felt that right hand who haven't got up.
The Nagano, so many people, bro. The overhand right. Jake's got a tough chin, dude. I think he does whatever he wants after this. He just has such big balls, dude. He had to keep moving. That was the only strategy. People are gonna say he ran around the ring. They don't know. They don't understand fucking boxing.
He showed a ton of heart, right? What's next for Jake Paul?
Legendary trainer Teddy Atlas surprised many boxing fans by outlining a possible path for Jake Paul to upset Anthony Joshua, even if it appeared unlikely on paper. Atlas stressed that styles make fights, suggesting Paul could use his younger age, quicker feet, and constant movement to frustrate Joshua, particularly if Joshua's timing and mindset were not sharp following long layoffs and past losses. He explained that Paul could rely on running, lateral movement, and a surprise right hand when Joshua overcommits, adding that stealing rounds and keeping Joshua off balance might be enough in an 8-round fight. While it wouldn't be pretty, Atlas believes a tactical, evasive game plan represented Paul's best chance at a shocking upset.
And it's someone that you've always shown respect to, and I've asked you these questions before about Jake Paul. We had a surprise announcement just the other day about him and Anthony Joshua. What was your reaction when you saw that announcement? It shocked a lot of people in boxing. What did you make of that? Or what do you make
Jake
of that?
hasn't made too many mistakes so far. So it got my attention. It got Teddy's attention. He's been growing. He's been growing in the ring. He's been growing outside the ring. He's been growing in confidence. I think that in the Canelo situation, that didn't happen. He was ready to do that. I think if anything else, if nothing else, he's showing you that he truly is believing in himself. And that, he's been a work in progress. He still is. And he's showing you, he's putting his money where his mouth is. Everyone's calling for him to do this, to do that. And, he's always had the advantage with guys that weren't real fighters. They were fighters, they were older fighters, they were MMA fighters, they were this, they were that. They were smaller, they were older. Now he's taking a guy that's bigger, older, but bigger. A real, can't debate if he's a fighter. 2-time heavyweight champ. Coming off, but he's a smart son of a gun. He's a gutsy son of a... I always stood up for him because everyone was saying he was hurting the sport. He wasn't hurting the sport. In some ways, he was bringing interest in a different way to the sport. But
The bout, officially promoted as Judgment Day, was scheduled for 8 3-minute rounds in the heavyweight division, with Anthony Joshua entering as a heavy favorite due to his vast experience, 6 feet 6 inches height, and clear size advantage over Jake Paul, who weighed roughly 216 pounds compared to Joshua's 243 pounds. After several cautious early rounds, Joshua began to assert control, dropping Paul multiple times in the 5th round before sealing the fight with a devastating knockout early in the 6th at 131, landing a crushing right hand that sent Paul to the canvas and prompted the referee to stop the bout.
Joshua. Paul was sturdy for the first couple of rounds, but as the fight went on, the more experienced Joshua began to take control. After continuously connecting in the 5th round, it was only a matter of time before it was over. In the 6th, Joshua went on to knock out Paul with a big right hand. Joshua improved his career record to 29-4 now. Paul loses for the 2nd time in his career to go along with
former UFC champion Daniel Cormier, who had expressed skepticism before the bout, said there was never a realistic chance Jake Paul could defeat Anthony Joshua, but acknowledged that Paul's toughness allowed him to survive into the later rounds. Cormier stated that Joshua essentially carried Paul to the 6th round and that the fight was always destined to end with a punch, as Paul simply was not on Joshua's level. He added that Joshua eventually landed the clean, fight-ending right hand because it was inevitable given the clear gap in skill and power, even though Paul showed heart by lasting several rounds before the knockout.
Some people believe in fairy tales. Whoever believed that Jake Paul was going to win, that was an absolute fairy tale.
I've got a friend in a group message that said, I just put $20 on Jake Paul to win. I was like, bro, you just wasted your money. There was never a world in which Jake Paul was going to beat Anthony Joshua. It was always a matter of how the fight would end. So I watched all the pundits talking about the fight. Even Rosendo, my boxing coach, I was like, does Anthony Joshua represent boxing? Everybody from that world felt like Anthony Joshua was representing boxing. And as the fight started to go on, first off, he was representing boxing, so they wanted him to get the job done. All right, first and foremost. You can't lose to a guy that's perceived to be a YouTuber, even though today, Jake Paul is more boxer than YouTuber. I've said this time and time again. When you have resources, when you can spend $1 million a year on training camps, housing, food, coaches, this is not recreational anymore. He's a boxer. He's just not a boxer at that level. I ran into his brother in New York City, and I said to Logan, what parameters are in place, Logan? What safeguards do they have to make sure that Anthony Joshua doesn't hurt your brother? He said there are none. He goes, they're going to just straight fight. So in that regard, you got to give credit.
Logan Paul sparked debate after the fight by claiming his brother Jake Paul may have won as many as 4 rounds before the knockout. Speaking emotionally in the aftermath, Logan argued that Jake was competitive early, using movement and defense to limit damage while Anthony Joshua took time to find his rhythm. Although most official scorecards and analysts strongly disagreed, Logan maintained that fans were underrating how well Jake survived and managed to steal moments during the first half of the bout.
What's up, man? What's your reaction to it?
I'm just so proud of him. My mom has it.
Your brother fought his ass off, man. I mean, other heavyweights have taken that right hand and only took one.
I'm just so proud of him. That was incredible. In my view, that was a victory on all fronts.
Right.
Like, minus the actual victory, obviously, of course, but bro, like, no one expected him to the last 6 rounds with AJ. In my opinion, he won 4 of them. People will argue that he at least won 3. No one expected him to last that long. Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw, still fucking fighting, man. Like, that's toughness. You know, most people wouldn't have the balls ever to step in a boxing ring to bring in their life. He stepped in a boxing ring with one of the baddest men on the planet, who's 40 pounds heavier than him and 6 inches taller. That's insane. He's one of the most skilled fighters on the planet. My brother, as a fucking YouTuber, went 6 rounds with him in a fight with a broken jaw and rolled ankle. I'm so proud of him. That was just unbelievable.
I saw you talking crap to AJ at one point.
I was trying to get his head. I think I pissed him off. I was just saying fuck that shit. I love AJ. Yeah. But bro,
I saw you going there.
I was talking so much. But I just pissed him off.
Former world champion Carl Froch did not hold back when sharing his views on the Jake Paul vs Anthony Joshua fight, suggesting that matchups like this have pushed boxing into what he described as a clown world. Froch had previously criticized Joshua's decision to face a YouTube star rather than elite-level opposition, arguing that it harms the sport and even dents Joshua's legacy, as bouts against social media personalities fail to reflect the competitive standards expected of top heavyweights. While he did not directly say the exact words, "This fight was a disgrace," Froch's overall tone made it clear that he views celebrity crossover fights as damaging to boxing's credibility, tradition, and long-term integrity.
Got Jake Paul out of there. Dropped him. I think he got stopped on his feet, counted out, knocked out, whatever, however you want to call it. It wasn't a bad knockout. It wasn't an El Sparko. He wasn't rendered unconscious, but he got done. He got it on the chin. He went over. He didn't beat the count. He was sort of up on his feet. But if I'm honest, the whole fight was terrible, wasn't it? It was just so bad. It was just shit, wasn't it? A proper bad fight for AJ. And let me start with AJ. AJ was following him around the ring a little bit, sort of pouring with the jab, putting the jab on the shoulder of Jake Paul, sort of putting him in the corner and not really pulling the trigger on the right hand. He didn't seem to be motivated to go in there and just smash Jake Paul into oblivion in the first 1 or 2 rounds, which I think he could have done. But he's been out the ring 15 months, he's a bit slow on his feet, a bit ring rust maybe, and it's hard. When I used to spar novice amateurs, even when I was a world champion pro, if you're not motivated, sometimes you can have a couple of bad rounds and you're sort of looking at your opponent and a jab hits you or right hand hits you. And I think AJ was in a bit of a daze early on, just walking him around, touching the jab on his shoulder, not really pulling the trigger on the right hand. Didn't look like he got out of first gear. Jake Paul was just on pure survival mode from round 1 right through to round 6. I don't know if he's got a moral victory going 6 rounds. Maybe he has. People might give him credit for going 6 rounds. But he got in there and just survived. He just went in there and ran like a chicken from round 1 right through to round 6 when he got splattered. And it's like, it's just, you can't really justify what he's done, because this is supposed to be a professional sanctioned boxing match. And I think it brings the integrity of the sport down when somebody like AJ is a 2-time world champion, can't get in there and just completely dismiss.
Veteran boxing analyst Gareth A. Davies raised serious concerns about the safety implications surrounding this fight, pointing to the significant weight difference and clear gap in experience between the two fighters, arguing that the matchup pushed the limits of what should be considered safe inside a professional ring. Davies warned that a full-scale contest carried real danger, especially if Anthony Joshua landed clean, decisive punches early on. From his perspective, while the spectacle of a social media star stepping in with a seasoned heavyweight may be intriguing, the physical risks involved made it a highly questionable undertaking. Analysts like Davies stressed that promoters and regulatory bodies must closely assess safety protocols, as the consequences of a misjudged bout could be severe for both men. Despite Anthony Joshua knocking out Jake Paul in the 6th round and breaking his jaw, many respected voices in combat sports still publicly praised Paul's heart, courage, and overall performance.
Subjects we're going over. So, as I am with you, there is a danger in this fight. The odds are, Joshua's 1-12, obviously. Jake Paul is 6-1, yeah, to win this fight in a 2-horse race in which this is a guy who lost to Tommy Fury, Tyson Fury's brother, in an 8-round fight, who, for me, I wrote that it would damage his legacy a week ago. It will damage his legacy for several reasons. If the Deontay Wilder fight never emerges, which it looks like it isn't, I've been calling for that fight for ages. If those two got in a ring together, it's still a massive fight. It's a dangerous fight to sanction, in my view. It sets the wrong precedent. It is 10-ounce gloves. It is a boxing match. It's not an exhibition. This isn't a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. This is one of the most dangerous finishers in the world, who is probably 5 levels above Jake Paul and a weight division above him. I think it's irresponsible to let those two in a ring together in a proper boxing match. That's my view. It doesn't damage his bank balance, but if he earns $70 million for this,
MMA legend Anderson Silva said fans need to respect Jake Paul for stepping into the ring against a seasoned former heavyweight champion, praising the way Paul fought through adversity while highlighting his clear improvements and bravery. However, many fans and commentators felt the fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul was heavily affected by excessive clinching and rough tactics, which made the matchup far less engaging than expected. Instead of fast-paced back-and-forth boxing, much of the early rounds were filled with holding, grappling, and messy exchanges that slowed the action and frustrated viewers. The referee even warned both fighters mid-bout to stay within the rules as the pace stalled and the fight failed to deliver what fans had paid to see. Critics argued that Paul's frequent clinches combined with Joshua's lack of sustained aggression made the contest feel disjointed, with too many stops and starts instead of clean, skillful boxing, ultimately hurting the overall entertainment value.
And in the end, it was AJ who delivered exactly what we wanted in the end. He stopped Paul in the 6th round to get the victory. I'm just seeing pictures online just now of Jake Paul with a broken jaw. The guy's crazy. He's sticking his tongue out, blood everywhere. He's playing up to the cameras. He's quite the showman. Our very own showman with us this morning out there in Miami is TalkSport's Gareth A. Davies. Good morning, Gareth.
Hi, Gareth.
Good morning, Shaban. Good morning, Tony. A very dramatic night here.
Yeah.
Oscar.
Gareth, I've got to ask you, because obviously he'll be criticised, I think, for sort of running around the ring in the first few rounds. But boy, I've got to say, this Jake Paul is game as anybody I've seen.
He is very, very bold and very brash and very brave. And he did extraordinarily well to take Anthony Joshua 6 rounds tonight. Yes, he ran around, he was elusive, but then he clinched and I think he landed about 4 or 5 punches. Arguably, he might have won the first round and another round in there. So he did a brilliant job for his own resume, for his own career. And as you say, he's in hospital right now. He's posting the pictures already on Instagram. The scars of battle, the wounds of battle, the broken jaw, his teeth are rearranged a little bit. He gave it his all, but he wasn't good enough. What happened We knew that was going to happen. The gulf in class and experience was extraordinary. And, you know, I've just been with Anthony Joshua, and he said he was actually quite surprised about how elusive Jake was, and he just decided, you know what, I'm going